Hello, and welcome to homework number 4. We're going to talk about inscribed angles today. So if you remember earlier, we talked about central angles. The central angle was where the vertex was at the center. The measure of the central angle was the same as the intercepted arc. An inscribed angle is an angle whose vertex is sitting right on the circle. And the degree of the inscribed circle is going to equal half of the intercepted arc. So the measure of angle ABC will equal half the measure of arc AC. Remember, if it is named with 2 letters, it is going to be the shortest distance between the 2. And this is the intercepted arc because the sides of the angle make that arc. Now, what's going to be a special circumstance, and it's very important you remember this, anytime you have a diameter, you know the diameter breaks that circle into half. So obviously this is going to be 180 degrees. Well, if I make any angle here where the sides of the angle hit the diameter, this is going to have to be a right angle because this angle is half of its intercepted arc. So anytime the intercepted arc is half of the circle, anytime it's formed with the diameter, this has to be 90 degrees because 180 divided by 2 is 90. If you forget which way you multiply, if you forget, hey, this times, this is half of that, so this times 2 is that, just come back to this diameter and you know that this angle times 2 is 180, or the arc divided by 2 is 90. And that will help you with where, if you're going to multiply by 2 or divide by 2. And the next thing we need to talk about is overlapping arcs. If you look at these 2 angles, if you look at angle BAC and angle BDC, both of those have the same intercepted arc. Well, the arc is going to have to be the same, therefore these 2 angles are congruent, and that will come in handy later. So if we look at examples, if we look at example 1, we have an angle measure, and if we want to find the measure of arc XZ, we know that the angle times 2 is the arc. So 47 times 2 is 94. So that arc is 94 degrees. If you've been given the 94 degrees, simply divide by 2 to come back here. Example 2, if we want to find this angle measure, well, we first need to know how big its intercepted arc is. We know that this arc is 100, this arc is 86. So if we add those 2 together, and you shouldn't need a calculator to add those 2 together, you get 186. The whole thing is 360. So 360 minus 186, 360 minus 186 is 174. So this arc is 174 degrees. To go from an arc to an angle, you simply divide by 2. So this angle will be 87 degrees. You need a second to get that written down. Let's go then to example 3. Example 3 gives you an expression, doesn't give you a number, gives you an expression. And it gives you this angle and its intercepted arc. Well, we know that if we take the angle measure and multiply by 2, we will get the arc. We also could have taken the angle measure and said it's half of the intercepted arc. You can solve either one of these equations because this is an even number. I think I like this one better. Half of 158 is going to give us 79. Bring this down. So we'll add 9 to both sides. So 8x will equal 88. Divide both sides by 8. X will equal 11. We need to solve for x, so we've got it. Example 4, we are given that the measure of angle STU is the expression 5x minus 16, and the measure of this arc is 12x minus 50 degrees. Well, we know that the angle times 2 is equal to the arc. So if I take 2 times the angle, I will equal the measure of the arc. Once again, I could have divided both of those by 2 if I had wanted because they're both even. I'm going to just do it this way so you can see both ways. So if I distribute the 2, I will get 10x minus 32 is equal to 12x minus 50. I can subtract 10x from both sides, add 50 to both sides, divide both sides by 2, and x will equal 9. Well, make sure you're reading the question. The question says find the measure of angle STU. So then we need to take that 5 times 9 minus 16. 5 times 9 minus 16 will give us 29. So the measure of that angle is 29 degrees. On the quiz, make sure that you do not put the degree sign, just put the number itself. Then one more thing you need to know, if a quadrilateral, remember any four-sided figure, is inscribed in a circle, opposite angles are supplementary. We know that supplementary angles are two angles that have a sum of 180. So that means that the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle C will equal 180. And the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle D will also equal 180. That will come in handy too. The most important thing that in the past kids have forgotten though is remember if you ever see a diameter, this is going to be 180 degrees, and then that inscribed angle that has the diameter as its edges will be 90 degrees. That's the thing that most kids have forgotten in the past. So remember that fact, and I will be at our Wednesday Zoom meeting at 11 o'clock. See you then. Bye-bye.